Lawrence Cannon, listen up.
Barriere Lake is standing up.
We are here to demand
Respect our rights and our land.
Lawrence Cannon, listen up.
Barriere Lake is standing up.
Lawrence Cannon, listen up.
Barriere Lake is standing up.
We are here to demand
Respect our rights and our land.
Prime Minister Harper was in Japan at the G8, and he took the opportunity to lecture African leaders on what he called the ugly perversion of democracy in Zimbabwe. But Canada probably needs to put its own house in order before it goes lecturing others about ugly perversions of democracy. The folks from Barriere Lake, Algonquin community about 3 hours north of Ottawa, know one thing or two about ugly perversions of democracy.
Well, we're here in front of Lawrence Cannon's office to tell him to push his governments to oversee a leadership reselection in our community. Because once again, the Indian Affairs is meddling in our internal affairs.
How are the youth responding to everything that's been going on in the reserve?
Well, there's a lot of tension right now in the community with the youths, with everybody, the elders, and we had one lost in the community. You know, we lost a man of a heart attack.
Can you tell us what happened?
Well, we were in front of the police station demonstrating back home. You know, trying to tell the police, you know, enough is enough, and trying to tell one of his officers to leave the community because he's trying to play politics with the community members. So that's why we were there protesting, and he fell and had a heart attack. So people are very upset right now.
So then, would it be too far to venture to say that all of the youth that live on the reserve now, I mean, most of them being born after the trilateral agreement was signed, have grown up in a sort of an environment of government betrayal again and again and again and again? Do you think that the youth are hopeful for the future? Do they still have hope?
Well, yeah, we still have hope, and we still have strength, you know, to fight for what's right for our community and our people as well. So.
And how many people are going to be here today, do you think, from Barriere Lake?
Oh, well, right now there's about 60 adults and about 40 kids we have right now, and we're camping at Victoria Island. Well, the future is, our children is our future and our culture. That's why we're here, you know, we want to preserve all of this.
Native rights under attack, what do we do? Native rights under attack, what do we do? Algonquins under attack, what do we do? Under attack, what do we do? Barriere Lake under attack, what do we do? Barriere Lake under attack, what do we do? Native rights under attack, what do we do? Native rights under attack, what do we do?
I believe it was in '96 that we went up.
Okay, so this was at least 5 years after the trilateral agreement was signed.
Yes.
Which was supposed to have sort of ended the illegal logging on the land, and yet the logging was continuing.
That's right, that's right. And so we went up to help oppose the clear-cut logging of their hunting territory. I know at that time they'd negotiated a very special, really groundbreaking agreement with the logging companies to have a person from their community, Aboriginal, who would point out areas like the moose calving areas that needed to be protected, and the rabbit paths and the medicinal herbs areas that should not be logged in order to protect critical habitat. And so that was a wonderful agreement, and apparently that was respected for a time. But then the companies went back on that agreement, and I think it had expired and they refused to renew it. And so they were clear-cut logging without consultation or compensation to the Algonquins of Barriere Lake. And that's why the road blockade went up.
And what was the government doing at the time?
The government was very happy, I think, about the clear-cut logging. The Quebec government actually is a part shareholder, or was at the time, in, I believe it was Domtar that was doing a lot of logging, so the Quebec government was making money out of the logging and has friends in the logging industry. And I think the reason that the government is punishing this community so much is because they are vocal and they do need their rights respected. And because they've been able to negotiate such important agreements, the government is trying to silence them.
So that
Lawrence Cannon, listen up.
Barriere Lake is standing up.
We are here to demand.
Protect our rights and our land.
The 10,000 square kilometers was agreed on with the provincial government and the federal government in '91. And they were actually, I think the community was surprised that the government was actually willing to grant that much as part of this co-management land use process. I think mainly probably because they didn't expect the community to get their act together so as much as it has, you know, in terms of doing like Arthur Manuel, who's a important Indigenous leader, he said that in Canada, he said that the traditional land use research that they've done is probably the most advanced in North America. So they did like, you know, surveys of wildlife, surveys of the way that the land is being used. They mapped out Algonquin toponyms, so Algonquin place names over the entire 10,000 square kilometers, and based on the toponyms, they can tell how the land is changing. And so the idea with this agreement is that there's essentially like three pillars. One is that it creates a sustainable development plan for the 10,000 square kilometers. A conservation plan for ensuring that the rest of the forest isn't totally shredded. So logging does continue, but there's no logging allowed in large areas of concern that the Algonquins have mapped out. So areas of spiritual, medicinal importance, all of their harvesting and trap lines. And then the last one is the mixed resource use, which is the fact that this community has never benefited a single bit.
Our leadership reached election process with outside observers recognize the resultant customary chief and council and end all interference in the internal governance of Barriere Lake. We demand that the Government of Canada honor its signed agreements with Barriere Lake, including the 1991 Trilateral Agreement, the 1997 Memorandum of Mutual Intent, and its special provisions, of all of which are illegally terminated.
D'arrêter de faire mal à la communauté de la Barrière. C'est difficile à vivre. Ouais, parce qu'on a des amis, des meilleurs amis ils nous occupent le peu, là, tu sais. Les meilleurs amis des proches de nous, ils parlent un peu de nous autres. Là, on demande, lui, d'arrêter ça. Et on va y pousser jusqu'à 5 heures, on va pousser jusqu'à vendredi. Puis, on veut que lui demande de pousser son gouvernement de changer ça et d'arrêter l'interférence de la communauté. Je te remercie beaucoup, David. Merci.
Mm-hmm.